शौर दे के मोहम्मद के आस्ताने का मिजाज बदलेंगे हम इस नए ज़माने का.
They would have you believe that the Quran that you read every single day is false, the words of a mere mortal, not of the divine. In fact, Muhammad did not even compile or sequence the Quran in his own life, they say. It was compiled and written well after Muhammad's death. Complete falsehood. The work of compiling, arranging, and preserving the Quran from the beginning until the end was carried out by none other than the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ under his own guidance. This is no mere conjecture, this is fact. Hazrat Usman Raziyallahu Anhu, the third Khalifa, himself states it was a practice of the Prophet that when a revelation would be received by him, he would summon one of his scribes and instruct him to record it, and would also instruct that it should be placed in the following surah at the following place. It was written down and arranged by the Prophet himself. Along with this, the Prophet assigned many of his skilled companions with the task of committing the Quranic verses to memory and teaching it to others. So there was a highly secure and effective system put in place by the Prophet himself to ensure that each word of Allah was collected in the Quran and preserved for the rest of history. So we find further proof of this preservation in various incidents and narrations from the history of early Islam. I'll present just a few. Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam would every Ramadan, every year, descend upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and teach him an entire recitation of the Holy Quran. In the last year of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life, the Prophet was taught 2 full rounds of the Holy Quran by Hazrat Jibreel, and he committed this to memory. And he taught this further on. Let's take the example of Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu. How did Umar become a Muslim? He heard the recitation of the Holy Quran coming from the house of his own sister. He enters the house and he sees that the Quran is being recited from a written script in the lifetime of the Prophet. So such accounts establish that the Quran was carefully collected and recorded during the very life of the Prophet. In terms of its unique sequence, we all know that the arrangement of the verses and chapters of the Quran are not according to their order of revelation. And of course, European historians, as they always do, allege that the chapters of the Holy Quran have been sequenced in a fragmented manner and not according to their order of revelation. They are longer at the front, shorter at the end. Their arrangement is ambiguous, they say. But we know that this is completely baseless and incorrect. Rather, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam set out the arrangement of the Quran very particularly based on 2 principles. Number 1, it was necessary for Quranic verses to be revealed to the very first Muslims according to their own mentality at the time. So it was easier for them to adopt and adjust to this new religion. So accordingly, in the very beginning, those verses were revealed that primarily dealt with the rectification of divine doctrine, whereby polytheistic beliefs were uprooted and divine unity was established. After this came more specific commandments and prohibitions related to worship and Islamic way of life. This original order of revelation became unfit, however, when a community was established based on Islamic Sharia. And the second principle, number 2, is that the revelation of Quranic verses walked side by side with the circumstances faced by the companions of the time. For example, in the Meccan life of the Prophet ﷺ, since the message of Islam was still being conveyed to the disbelievers and the Muslims required patience and tribulation, teachings of jihad had not yet been given in the Meccan verses. Rather, greater emphasis was laid upon teachings of patience and forbearance. But at a later time, when the message had undeniably been conveyed, the Muslims were compelled to leave their homeland and the time had arrived for the oppressor, the tyrant, to be punished. It was then that the verses of jihad were revealed. So when everything had been revealed and a community had come into existence based on the precepts of the Quranic law, it became necessary for the Quran to be arranged for the needs of the future. And the Prophet ﷺ was well aware of this need and instructed the arrangement of the verses to occur in such a way that would be beneficial and relevant to all Muslims of every era. And he did this in his own life. This is just a brief glimpse into this week's readings. For more information, please refer to the Life and Character of the Seal of the Prophets, Volume 2, pages 377 to 449.